Councilman Shipley is excused. Mayor Canales?
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Shelley. Shelley, can you lead us in the invocation?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord God, we thank you for this year. Heavenly Father, Lord, I just lift up each and every person here today and pray that you bless them with health, prosperity. Heavenly Father, thank you for this council and the leadership they provide for this community. Heavenly Father, I pray that you protect our city staff and their families. And Heavenly Father, I thank you for your many blessings and the comfort and strength that you give. Thank you for your son that you gave during this Christmas season and the sacrifice he gave for our eternal life. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Mike, please do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a first community call to public. Do we have anybody online? So we're going to, no special presentations at this time. Consent calendar. Again, matter of this is on the consent calendar, was considered to be routine and been acted by one motion on the vote. Public hearing items are designated with an asterisk. Prior to consideration of the consent agenda, the mayor will ask whether any member of the public wishes to remove a public hearing item for separate consideration. Members of the council and or staff may remove any item for separate consideration. Item A is consideration of waiver of section 2-4-10A. Prior discussion rules to allow action on the balance of the consent agenda. Accounts payable, $305,522.30. Item 2 is consideration of approval of council minutes. B, consideration of under $25,000 report. And item C is consideration to administratively direct a motion made on October 22nd, 2024. Action item 6A, agenda moving $51,893 from 10-55-53000. Contingency undesignated to account 10-65-52200 Museum Capital Outlay Construction for contract number CS 2025-000114 with G&G Specialty Contracting for the Escogal Building Restoration Project. Anybody wishing to remove any item for separate consideration?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Okay.
Shelley, the minutes aren't included in this packet?
No.
Okay, that's all I, because I was looking for it.
I would like to go ahead and pull item C.
Okay. Do I have a motion on the rest of the consent?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as read minus item C.
Second?
Motion is second for approval of the consent agenda is read minus item C. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Item C.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this represents just a little bit of a cleanup. Sometimes we get moving fast, we get some of our, and I think this wasn't a numeric mistake, it was just an oversight of where exactly the money needed to be moved. But if you see on there, it says contingency transfer. This is just a redoing what took place in October.
It was October 22nd.
Yes, and so instead of piling up all these again, we're gonna try to keep these happening as soon as we find them, so we don't get a buildup of moves and transfers at the end of the year before the auditors get here. So you may see more of these on consent, where it's just we need to correct it for the record. Tina Allen, our budget manager, pointed this out in the comment, so we're making it right.
Okay. It isn't a dollar amount, it's an account amount, that's different.
Departmental account. We can shift within the department, but we can't shift between departments as the council.
Yeah, the council action moved it to economic development, the museum has its own line, and so we're correcting that, so that it goes to the
motion to approve.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve, item 2C, 3C, as, further discussion we had.
Second. Motion second for approval of item 3C. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nay. No new business. We have action item 5A, discussion and consideration of approve an interdepartmental transfer in the amount of $50,436 from account 10-58-51234 contractual service to account 10-58-51001 magistrate wages and salaries to fund the position of part-time city prosecutor at the rate of $75,000 annually, and to recognize the designation by the city attorney of Andy Jolly to supervise the prosecution of city code violations in the magistrate court as per section 6-1-2B of the city code.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there are three items, A, B, and C, on the agenda, and this is a follow-up from the previous Tuesday's meeting. We moved $175,000. This is the restructuring of the court. Just an update, the IGA that we passed on the 10th. On the 10th was passed this Tuesday by the county attorney, or not by the county attorney, by the board of supervisors at their meeting. And so this is the three follow-up items that we need to bring on to complete the restructuring of the court. I'm not going to go through the big picture to kind of drill down into the items we're considering. If you have any questions on how they fit into the big picture, let me know. But one of the things we had looked at, we currently have Andy Jolly, who's online and available for questions, as a contract prosecutor. Because of the size of this and just in dealing with and talking with Andy and contractor versus bringing him on staff, we're recommending that we create the position of part-time city prosecutor, bring him on at a salary of $75,000. He'll be fully benefited. He'll be here and operate very similarly to how he would operate if he was a contract person. But I think there are benefits for the city, the benefits for Andy. I think the benefit for the success of this whole restructuring if he is an actual city employee. Now, he's based out of Prescott. He's very good at communicating. He'll be here twice a month for the court date, setting up with the magistrate, and he's available more if we need him. But I really think this is a good way to go with this. He is unique in that he is going to be at will, serve at the pleasure of the city manager. So he will get eligible for merit raises, but he does not have those protections of a progressive discipline or anything like that. At this level, if things are not going well, Andy and I is not helping the city. If we thought there's got something going on, we can just part ways that way. So it's those HR protections are not there. He understands that. He's okay with that. But this will be, I think, a win-win-win for the three of us. In front of you, you have a list of items. One is his the offer letter that he will be signing. The other unique feature about this, and we had a lot of discussions with Bill Sims and some other people. Andy will continue to work for 2 other cities. And he still has his private law firm. We make sure that we put protections in place, make sure there's no problem with any conflict of interest. But he's going to identify the city from any of his activities outside the city, him being an employee here. Anything happens as an employee, he's covered by the risk pool and by our insurance. The other thing here is the job description that we put together, and it lists out everything. It's like 5 pages, but I just thought you'd be curious to see that. And then we have that's only 2 items that we have for Andy. So, other than the offer letter and the job description. So, just so you understand that. But I think this is a good way to go. It's the first time we've done this. But I think, we weighed out contractor versus on-staff part-time. And I think this is good. Andy, anything you want to add?
apologize for not being there in person. I was there on Tuesday. Just with the holidays and everything, to turn back around was a little tough, but I have been working with Judge Reardon to schedule out the months to make sure that, him and I are working closely together to get everything, to make sure that the dedication to the Globe Municipal Court is there. I am excited to work with him and with our new public defender. I think we got a good group there. The three of us work well together, and it's gonna be a hard undertaking at first to get all this. I picked up 2 file boxes from the county on Tuesday that it's just gonna take a while to go through, but I understand that, and hopefully by May, June, we'll have all this kind of leveled out, and the citizens of Globe will see a big change in the service that they get if they come in contact with the municipal court.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, one last thing. Our city code does recognize the city attorney as the prosecutor and or delegate that authority. And so we will be receiving a letter from Bill Sims, our city attorney, delegating and Jolly as the prosecutor, and make sure that we're square with our code. And that, unless there's any questions.
No, I'm good with Jerry, was on that, okay.
I have one question. The part-time salary, that's only a salary, 75,000.
So the benefit cost total, I think, about 101,000 out with everything.
About 25,000 in benefits.
Yeah, about 25,000 in benefits. And that's with our Blue Cross Blue Shield, the benefits that we're gonna approve this afternoon, gym membership, all the way to ASRS, he's fully benefited employee. That really the only unique thing is the at-will nature of the employee. He doesn't have that progressive discipline.
And this salary, does that include his work at code compliance still into all the way?
Yeah, so we'll be the 18,000 that we've already approved will go towards funding this. And so this will be all the criminal, misdemeanor criminal traffic and city code and civil traffic that he'll be doing. And so it's all wrapped up in the one package.
I don't want to sell myself short, but the number that we were talking about doing it as a contract was higher than the numbers we've been talking about today.
So we're reaping a little bit of benefit there too, but in saving some money for the city. And I know that, we're heavy on the contractors, that if we can bring somebody in as a staff member, I think this might be a new model for the Danas of the world. So, did I say that out loud?
You did.
That's right.
So, and Andy does, we have a contractor, David Berger, that we would.
Mike, go ahead. I got a question. Did I hear you say 2 days out of the month?
2 days out of the month. That's on site. Okay. And so.
Running through work cross.
Oh, yeah, no, and this is kind of a 24/7 job.
Right.
And so it depends on the pleasure of the court and the hearings and communicating with Daisy, with the court, with Dale. A lot of this is having an in-house prosecutor is the close relationship between the prosecutor and the police, and making sure that they're on singing the same tune, they're providing citations, and that that everything is gelling with them, so that when the prosecutor goes in and the officer has to testify, that they are sitting there together. So, and so that really.
There's also, sorry, Paul.
Go ahead.
There's also, in the post-COVID world, all courts realize that people don't have to be there as much as we thought before. I actually really truly believe that if you're gonna get something done, you gotta be there together. But we don't need people coming to court just to come to court. So I'm going to be doing telephonic pre-trials, and the goal, and this is a benefit to the citizens of Globe, they come to court once, they get it done and move on. Not come to court, sit there for 3 hours, get a continuance, come back a month later, sit there for 2 hours, get a continuance, that's going away, hopefully, for the most part. So, the 2 days a month will be to get the final resolution, but the pre-stuff will be done prior to that. And then any trials obviously would be a separate day, and those will be set at the discretion of Judge Reardon. And so, you know, any additional days will be trial days, really.
So, and two, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, part-time in this instance is considered about 30 hours a week is what we're looking at. And, but he's exempt, so it ebbs and flows a little bit, but, that's what we're looking at as a part-time person.
So if he has to travel more often, does that give him increased his?
No, he's an employee, he's got to
That's it?
put his own gas in his own car. No trucks.
My car knows how to get there.
So,
That's it coming down.
yeah, and that is something with a contractor, sometimes the travel time and anything like that does there. So that's why I think this is a kind of a unique experiment that we'll look at and see if we can, you know, I think just more part of the organization by being a member.
So if need be, he could be your board.
No, we get on the map, get down here. Anything else?
I have
Go ahead.
good connection through a family member, and I can stay in East Mesa for a relatively low amount. So my plan will be to stay the night before, be there by 8:30 in the morning, work all day, and leave.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, as any employee, all job descriptions have at the very bottom, other duties as assigned. And it should be on the campus, other duties on the job description. Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
This is 5A.
5A.
And at least the council action on this is very light. It's just a matter of moving internally that money and then recognizing, the fact that he'll be, appointed. But it is a creation of a new position, and I just felt, with this uniqueness of what we're doing, when we bring this to council, we moved the money, and we've done that previously. Normally would have done it at the time of moving the money, but we just had to get the details worked out.
And this amounts in an account, not a fund balance.
Right, and so technically, we could have moved money without council permission, but just to kind of, but I wanted to be totally transparent to you and the public, that the money, how much it was, where it was gonna be, and it kind of helps us make sure that we are clear. Again, we're trying to make sure that the money between departments are clear, but yes, technically, we have the ability to move that administratively.
Are you ready for a motion, Mayor?
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve an interdepartmental transfer in the amount of $50,436 to account number 10-58-51234, contractual services to account number 10-58-51001, administrative wages and salaries, to fund the position of attorney, fund the position of part-time city prosecutor at the rate of $75 annually, and to recognize $75,000. Comes with age, fellas. Annually, and to recognize the designation by the city attorney of Andy Jolly to supervise the prosecution of city of law violations in the magistrate court as per section 6-1-2, B of the city code.
Second. Motion second for approval of item 5A. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, just so you know, we did run comps on other, city attorneys, assistant city attorneys and prosecutors, and we are bringing this on at a very, affordable rate on our salary, so we really appreciate that Andy for working with with us and for us.
Right.
Welcome aboard.
We got hope.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion passed. Thank you,
Thank
Andy.
you all. If you need anything, let me know.
Thank you.
Item 5B, consideration to approve contract number PS 2025-0129 with Daisy Flores Law and Associates PC to provide indigent legal defense services for the city of Globe in amount not to exceed $61,500 to be funded through account 10-585-1234 Magistrate Contractual Services for a 2-year term.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is, as taking over these services, it is now our responsibility to provide for those indigent services. When, in any criminal proceeding where the defendant may face jail time, they have a legal right to a public defender. Normally that was handled by through the county, through their process. We had option to stay with the county, but we chose to go independently with that. You should have Daisy's proposal, her resume, and we do have a draft of a contract that we're very close to putting together. This is a not to exceed amount, and so if the meat of the contract is that if a public defender is needed and appointed, that she will be responsible to take that case. For DUI cases, which are probably the most contested, it'd be $500 per case. For non-DUI misdemeanors, $400, and then limited appointments where a lot of times it's a bond hearing or something like that, $200. I will tell you that at least for Daisy, these prices are lower than she's working for 2 other counties, Graham and Greenlee, and these are lower prices than she charges there. But she's highly qualified. She's absolutely knowledgeable of the system. She's actually, her and Jordan have worked together and are very comfortable with each other. Andy and Daisy have worked together and very comfortable with each other, because a lot of times once a defendant gets a public defender, our prosecutor will be working with the public defender, not the defendant, to negotiate, if possible, some type of a plea deal. So that is really important to have that knowledge of each other. And so again, she would be a great addition to our team to have her doing that portion of this work. She covers all the costs. The only thing that may be if there is she feels there's a need for some type of expert witness, then that would be the city cost. If there's, I don't want to go deep into Rule 11, but sometimes there's some medical evaluations that need to happen that she wouldn't pay for, that we would have to pay for, that are ordered by the court, and that even comes on either side. Just so we clarify that. And if there happens to be a conflict, that she has some type of conflicted relationship with a person assigned, she will provide at her cost a replacement person to take that case, just so everything's up and up. And so it's pretty clean. As the proposal talks about and the contract refers to, we did not know exactly how many. We're going between 100, I was hearing between 120 and 135, I'm sorry, 120 and 150 possible cases of assignment a year. I split it and went at 135. I did the math on that, and that's how I came up with I think 61.5 is what's in the agenda. And so that's and then we split that because it's only a half year. So that's how I came to that number. But if she handles less cases, then not all that money will be spent. If she handles more cases, we'll just have to fill the bucket and cover that. But this is a very clean and helpful relationship. And she would have been here, but she was actually traveling from Safford. She was in court till noon and wouldn't have been able to be here. So she's on the road right now. Questions, because this is a little new for council.
This wasn't discussed at our last meeting, because we didn't have any.
Well, we didn't have we didn't have this as locked down of anything like that, but it was included in the numbers that we did, and just so council knows, we came in at about 7,000 to 8,000 under what we had projected. We had put 175 as the number we were gonna move. When you do the final math, we're about 7,000, 7,500 under what we had requested. But, we'll have a little buffer there, so.
And, the 61.5, that, you said that's only a half a year?
No, the 61.5 is annual.
Annual, okay.
Okay, but the half a year, money we're moving is the 3750. Let me pull up my numbers. I have this on a spreadsheet.
And she only gets paid if we take it to court then, if she has to defend somebody, right?
No, she will get paid, many times there'll be cases that don't go to court. But if Jordan, do you wanna jump up and, you're getting out of my knowledge sector.
How you
Talk
doing,
about the
Jordan?
role of a public defender.
Morning, sir.
Solution. I will add in there to Paul's benefit and the city benefit that $500 for a case is a phenomenal rate, because the average, if you were to go retain private counsel, currently, that's usually about $6,000 for a retainer per DUI to do the exact same process that Ms. Flores is going to be providing to the city. So.
Now, Mr. Mayor, Ms. Council, to Jordan, it has to be a certain level of financial need.
Correct. So every individual that comes to court at arraignment has to complete a financial statement. This is a Supreme Court requirement. And then the court has to make an analysis as to whether or not they are deemed indigent, right? So if you're making $150,000 a year, we're not paying for a lawyer. But I routinely do this. I've looked at data for this, so we had like 6,000 case filings in the last financial cycle fiscal year, and every one of those individuals had to complete this form. So the court, the ones that have to come before me though, I have to make that analysis and determination. So not everybody, even those that are being charged with DUI, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get an attorney. Just they have to meet that financial threshold. There are unique circumstances where I will add in that there could be a scenario where, because there's that loss of liberty, there are people that, as I walk back that comment, so let's say if you make $60,000 a year and you provide your financial statement, and you spend $70,000 a year, while I think that is poor fiscal management, constitutionally speaking, that would be an individual that would still qualify for court-appointed counsel.
Jordan, do you see a lot of, the ones that do qualify, do they usually get their own attorney, or they take advantage of the free service?
Very rarely have I had somebody after court-appointed counsel immediately come up with the means, but there are circumstances in the community where the individual still may not be eligible to pay for this, but their parents or grandparents may enter the fray and front that cost, and at that time we will let court-appointed counsel off the case and go with their private attorney.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Mike.
Just a question on item 7. Jordan, maybe you can answer it. What are Rule 11 requirements?
So, Rule 11 is a rule of criminal procedure that relates to competency evaluations if you are mentally competent to stand trial. So it's funny. It's a very complex rule, but it's like 8 paragraphs. It gives very little direction, but the process is exceptionally complex. It's also prohibitively expensive. I think in the misdemeanor world, we try really hard. I mean, Mr. Jolly will be at his discretion how this goes. I suspect in misdemeanor land, this will be far and few between. I can't think of a lot of circumstances where you really have to push that level. There may be victim crimes where that is something that has to happen. But that is the process. We have to schedule an appointment with a specifically qualified psychiatrist who's trained to perform these evaluations, and then they'll make a determination in the report as to whether or not there's several findings. One is, they're competent to stand trial, they can be not competent but restorable, and then you go down the path of the restoration process, and that restoration process is where you get into big money. I'll use the example, none of us use them, but if ASH, the Arizona State Hospital, if you were to utilize them for a restoration process, it is $864 a day for that person to be there through restoration. And the average restoration process can take up to 6 months. Some go into a year. Varying levels of process. And there's not competent, not restorable, which is a very narrow subset in our community, but we do have many members in our community that do fall into that category. And this is somebody that should fall under Title 36, meaning that a guardian is appointed and they are unable to care for themselves.
Okay.
Is that a cost to the city or?
So those are, again, I will reiterate in my conversations with Mr. Jolly, and not just Mr. Jolly, I think statewide, there are very limited circumstances where that would be appropriate in misdemeanor court. I don't want to go into how many we have active for other reasons, but very few reasons why it should be happening.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, when I met with Daisy and discussed all this, she said, we have to prepare for that possibility. It's not very likely. Many of these cases will be settled without going to court, but some will go to court and they'll be more expensive, and she'll handle that. But if it deemed that there needs to be something like an expert witness, because there's some nuance, you have to prepare for that. And the fact that we did move a little bit more money, we have that $7,500 in there, that would cover most cases. But if something happened, on this larger end, we just have to know that that's out there. But we are going to keep our fingers crossed. It's not, we can't say it's very unlikely to happen, but we can't say it won't happen.
But we need to be aware of it.
Yeah, you definitely need to be aware. And this 6 month period is kind of a learning process as we get our data, we figure out these contracts. Contracts are annual contracts, but if we need to budget or put a little bit more buffer money in there for these types of things in July, we will do that.
Paul, if I may, just, this is Andy, I'm still on here. Council members, just so you're aware, I've been doing misdemeanor prosecution for 14 years, and I've really never had one Rule 11 go all the way through in misdemeanor court. One of the realities of Rule 11 situations are they usually have more than one case pending. So if they're pending in our court and they're pending in a felony, the county will take that situation. The county has a different approach to it than we do because they have more of the resources and do this more on a regular basis, but it's something I'm very aware of. And I don't, in my humble opinion, mental health is probably the biggest issue facing us as society. We deal with mental health issues every day in our world. But there's a big difference between somebody who's truly Rule 11 and somebody who just has mental health issues. So when it's not a true Rule 11, and I know Daisy will as well, will take the time and work with the people to help them get through the system without just throwing up the Rule 11 evaluation. And that's just something that comes with training and experience that Daisy and I both have. So I'm not worried about it, but like Paul said, it's something we have to be aware of.
Very good.
So this might be like thinking way out of the box, but are there insurance policies for municipalities that might encounter these kinds of things, like say with a healthcare facility or, anything that might provide some level of protection?
That I don't know. That's a good question. And I don't know if there's, if the risk pool or if there's, you know, some way that they share it the cost. But let me look in to see if there's anything kind of backstop that fear that we might get hit with a massive cost on something very simple. So I can look into that, and when we go to budget again, see if there's anything we can do. I'm not aware of off the top of my head, but it's a, you know.
That doesn't link into the risk pool then, nothing coverage.
Well, no, because the risk pool is for liability, this is a cost of the business. So, but, no, but we do have connections with some large cities with larger, port operations, that do run many cities, about 40,000 people or bigger, is where you tend to see the starting of internal handling of misdemeanor courts, of a full-blown magistrate court. I think we're ready for that, given we serve 37,000, people on a daily basis. But I can find out how they manage that risk and or the possibility that, what their averages are on how many times they have something like a Rule 11 pop up.
Okay. You have a question? We gotta wait for, oh, no, we have 4.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion.
Okay.
Motion to approve contract number PS 2025-0129 as written. Do we have a rule, Paul?
No, because we've discussed this last Tuesday, we do not need to waive the rules.
Okay, contract as written.
Second. Motion second for approval, item 5B. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion passes.
Jordan, you might as well stay there.
Item C is consideration to approve contract number PS 2025-0128 for presiding magistrate services, appointing Judge Jordan Reardon as presiding city magistrate to preside over the city magistrate court effective January 1st, 2025 for a 2-year term in the annual amount of $56,969 to be funded through account number 10585123 magistrate contractual services.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, just to do a quick 30-second overview of this. Judge Perlman is retiring in 2 months. He is our city magistrate doing civil, traffic, and code. With us at the same time, because of changes at the county attorney's office, we are taking on the full magistrate court. We're doing civil, criminal traffic and criminal misdemeanor. And so we're restructuring our court that way. And so by doing this, 2 things need to happen. We as the city of Globe need to name a person as our presiding magistrate for the city magistrate's office. And in this request, this is Judge Reardon, who's already the KP. This is very common around the state to do. And then we need to set up the compensation. He is in essence a contractor to the city, but this is more of a appointment than it is a contract. We can go back and forth on that. On the compensation, Jordan and I met, and we had a lot of information about what other cities are doing, the other structures. As we said, we've always looked at the model of Payson, where it's combined. Although we're combining the civil and the misdemeanor into one judge, we are still maintaining the city, the city magistrate office, city magistrate staff here at the city. So for civil traffic tickets, the people will walk to the window and plead or decide, get the information, decide if they want to go to court. For city codes, they'll still walk to the window here at City Hall and take this. Now, given a standard city code violation, I got weeds in my front yard, I got a vehicle without a license, I want to talk to the judge, would set that up. But if hearing would not take place here as it normally would in the city council. It would now go to the justice court, and Deb would travel over there, and Justice Reardon would take on that. But now, looking at how we set up the compensation, we did it a lot of different ways, but, if you look at Judge Perlman's salary that we were paying him for these services that Judge Reardon is not gonna take over, it was at 42.7, I believe, 42,000. It's been that since I've been here. I came here in March of 2016. If this restructuring of the court had not happened, we were already overdue to re-up Perlman's contract. And if we had, we would have looked at the fact that it's way out of line with inflation. That number has not changed since 2016. So I took that number, I plugged it into the Department of Labor Consumer Price Index for the rate of inflation, and that's how I arrived at the number of the 56,696 and I think 24 cents, but we knocked out the 24 cents. And so this is basically the cost is not really an increase, it's a different person, but if we were going forward without this change, we would be at the same amount. And that is, there's a lot of ways you can look at it. Payson pays more, but they actually have less volume. Payson pays their judge more. I think he's at 58,000 now. We'll be at 56 and almost 57. But their caseload is lower than what we're seeing here. But Payson's, their wages are higher up in Payson than we have here. And instead of arguing all that and trying to rationalize it, I think that the cleanest discussion that when Jordan and I met and talked, it's just very simple that we hold what we've been doing, we just adjust it for inflation.
Questions? So, I guess the question, so we recover fees here then, do we know what we recover here for civil cases here?
And on civil cases, I think about 119,000 is what we recovered just on the civil cases. And that's what we budgeted for our projected numbers for that. And in talking about the money, I think in looking at Tina's numbers, we're looking overall at about 270,000, $280,000 in overall cost. And
That's for here, that's with the administration.
That's with
the judge borough.
With everything we have going on with the magistrate court here, with the contracts with the county, with bringing Jordan on and bringing on prosecutor and public defender. We're looking at that, we're just a hair under 300,000 that we'll have to bring in after you subtract out some other items. It'd be about 350 if we didn't have some subtractions that we had. So some cost savings. And then when we come back in January, we're going to come back with a comprehensive schedule of fees that we need to put in place that are normal and traditional that cover some of these costs. Whether will we meet true cost recovery, I can't tell you that for sure now. Can we get close? I think we will. Will the volume go up? Probably, because the Globe PD will not see a revolving door, and we will have more cases, but then I think that in the long run we will have less, and this will be self-correcting. But again, it's we will kind of, this is the right thing to do, independent of the fact that the county attorney needed to make a change and kind of force our hand. But I think as we look at this is the right thing to do. The symmetry between the police department, the prosecutor, the court, and even the public defender is going to make this misdemeanor and civil process much cleaner, much more effective, and just we will help to make sure that it is not a revolving door, that people are held accountable.
And I think that's what the public needs to realize, you said it, is that if they don't know already, it was prompted from the county attorney's office, that they did away with the services.
They never
So you look,
And they're-
that's what the public needs to realize, that's why we're doing this, is because of that. We have no choice.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But we are taking full responsibility we are taking full control of our responsibilities. We have a responsibility, you know, if there's a problem, misdemeanor down, it's the city that is tasked with managing that in the city of Globe, and better that we have full control over it than sharing that with the county. Now, felonies is still the purview of the county. We'll still work with them as we have, and make sure that happens, but I think you'll see just a cleaner set of operations.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and, you know, based on what the chief of police has been telling us over the last couple of months,
Yeah.
I think it'll be a better process for the city completely. So, looks good.
I think so.
So, yeah, just one other question, the only recovery we're getting is $119,000 from the magistrate court. We don't recover any services from the county courthouse.
Right, just for the record, and this is something that they have done, I don't know how long it's been going on for misdemeanor, but, we allowed all of the cases that Globe cited that are misdemeanor to be filed into the justice court, at no cost to us, but then we got no benefit from the fees. And so, but again, and I haven't done the projections, I just haven't had the time to get that, we will at that, bring that forward. But the county couldn't just hit a button and come up easily with that, the numbers of money they're collecting and getting back on that. But it's bad to not know that, how much, you know, what would it cost us versus what would we have gained in fees. Now we are renting out a facility, we are hiring a judge, we are hiring a prosecutor, and then we will fill that, collect the fees based on all of that action, and if there's a gap, we'll have to cover that. This is our primary responsibility in law and order in the city.
So in lieu of the 140, I think it's 147 that we're now renting space at the county, we will recover all the fees here that could exceed that amount.
The fee recovery could exceed that amount. We need to say one way or the other, just because you never want to say absolutely this or that. I will tell you that our goal and the goal that I've shared with everyone I've worked with in this is to get as close to cost recovery as we can. And some believe that we can do that. So.
Any other questions?
If I could just, so, without getting into the specifics and remaining cautious, I would venture to say it's highly likely that there will be a cost recovery that will make this at least likely break even. I suspect it may go beyond that, but remain cautious in that. I have that data set. He can go through that. I've been able to see that. I have that data. The county doesn't get that data. And in fact, even though I'm the JP and additionally the presiding JP, which has some additional administrative functions, I still don't have access via our court management software. I had to go to a senior analyst at the Supreme Court to gather that data, and I forwarded that to Paul. But based on what I have seen, in conjunction with what you're already collecting in civil traffic and code violations, you should be pretty close to complete cost recovery.
And Mr. Abrams, Council, my apologies. I've just with everything trying to get from last Tuesday to this Thursday and getting these three lined up, approved by attorney, our attorney and everything like that, I did not have time to delve into that, into the numbers and the projections. But that will definitely be part of the presentation when we go to propose the fees that we do need to put in place in January.
I guess we're not in it to make money, at least if we get close to the break-even point. We supplement the magistrate court already right now on an annual basis, so.
Yes,
If we get close to it, but the key is to hold these, what Globe PD does in these arrests, to hold these people accountable in our community that commit these crimes.
Yeah, and so the public pays the salary of police to take the action, but when they're going through this process, if we cover and they can, you know, have us the least amount of burden on the taxpayers by covering as much of the cost as they're able and is, you know, within the boundaries of reason.
And Mr. Mayor, just one more, if I may. Just to touch on that, I was gonna try to remain as politically away from that as possible, but I will make the comment that, since you did touch on that, it is critical that everybody understand that your court system is not to make money, right? That is not what we're doing.
Right.
Our purpose is to serve justice and ensure a venue in which there's fairness and impartiality. And I just feel obligated to share that part because that is Paul's wheelhouse. He's the numbers guy. He's got to make sure you guys are staying afloat and that everything is going well. And I'm not saying that he doesn't give this consideration either. I just say as an obligation, as both the JP and now hopefully as presiding magistrate, my focus is providing that justice. And so it isn't, for me, one of my considerations, I can tell you I've been doing this since 2016, both in Allen County and here. It has never been a thought once in my mind, well, I'm sure they break even on this when I'm sentencing somebody. Everybody gets an individualized sentence. It's important that you consider several factors, not the least of which is what their life circumstances are as an individual. So I just wanted to add that for everyone.
I would second that, and I'd also add that we've also talked about looking at additional ways to hold people accountable besides just money, which will include community service, which is something we can give back to the community and hold people accountable. But I recognize every day as a prosecutor that not everyone can pay a fine, and a fine of $200 to some people may be life-changing, where to other people it's not anything. So those are things that I factor in when I meet with these people and talk to them about being held accountable, but in a way that it actually gets to them, not just makes their lives so much worse or doesn't bother them at all.
Mr. Mayor, if no other comments or questions, I will make a motion to approve contract number PS 2025-0128 for presiding magistrate services, appointing Judge Jordan Reardon as the presiding city magistrate to preside over the city magistrate court effective January 1, 2025 for a 2-year term in the annual amount of $56,969, funded through account number 10-58-51234, magistrate contractual services.
Second?
Motion is second for approval of item 5C is read. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, George.
If I may, more briefly, so I am very honored to be able to serve as your presiding magistrate. And I just wanted to note on a personal note, so this is the 1-year anniversary of the loss of my mother. And so I just found this exceptionally timely that I get to serve the community in this way on the anniversary. And so, thank you.
Thank you.
And if you need to get out, I don't know you're watching, I know you're on lunch.
I will probably need to run back, but do we need to speak? Okay, I'm gonna run. Thank you all.
Thank you, Judge.
And just for clarification, Deb kind of has to be boss. She's still and just also to clarify that the program will stay on in the cases that began prior to December, January 1. And then he will time out in March. We will have a
First of March, end of March?
I thought it was the first of March. Yeah. And so we will do something for him. Okay. So.
Item D is council will discuss and possibly approve professional service contract number PS 2025-0123 with Golden Valley Regional Medical Center to provide preventive health screening services for all benefited eligible employees, members of council and departments to be funded from revenues retained in account number 1039-47344, rebates, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and expended from the general fund activity code to be designated by the finance department in the future.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm going to start this, and I'm Gary, here to help, and Pam also here to help, if we need to. As you remember, through the budget cycle, we had talked about, we have our Blue Cross Blue Shield retention fund, we have wellness money. We had talked about putting together both some type of imaging process and some screening processes. We had the one group that would bring a van up here and run these blood tests and go through a bunch of steps, including our arterial imaging and things like that, was something that we were looking at. Also with Simon Med, we have a process where people can go to the valley and get a low resolution torso scan looking for signs of anything that is, high of interest that should be looked at. And we have budgeted so we would offer these free and pay to our employees, to both our employees, dependents of employees, anybody benefit eligible, and to council and anybody you insure. So anybody who qualifies for insurance gets this at no cost to them, because it's an investment in our greatest resource, our people. Neil Jensen from Cobra Valley Medical Center took me aside the Rotary and said, we can put something together for you, you don't have to go down to the valley. So we started talking at the Rotary lunch, and that has led us to today to what we have is we're still going to keep the offer of the full-blown Simon Medical image scan for the torso, but in focusing on cardiac and blood flow, and I'm going to let Gary talk more about this. The thing that Neil's people, his group of doctors put together was both the imaging of the arteries in the legs, looking for blockage there, and then a CT scan and some blood tests to try to find heart disease. And so that can be done locally. What we will do is if somebody wants to have that done, they make an appointment. They'll get assigned a number. They'll get an account so they can track their results. They'll go in, make their appointment, have that appointment happen, and then they'll get a follow-up appointment. And that is, I think, one of the key things is they don't just get a, like if you're in that trailer and they give you a piece of paper and out the door, but somebody will read that CT scan about your heart and tell you we saw nothing, or here's something more that we need to do. Now, if they do find something, now it's a medical necessity, and now it qualifies under insurance. I'm just, like I say, medical insurance is something that I'm not as knowledgeable as it's very complicated, but my understanding is, insurance covers things that are medically necessary. This is not where you have to have a reason to go in. This is like, hey, I just want to go and make sure I'm okay. And there's nothing more important than that. A lot of these things sneak up on us. And so you have in the packet, and I think the last page, page 5, is the actual list of services. It's Exhibit B, and it shows the top half shows the first year. The Cobra Valley is saying you don't need and you shouldn't get a CT scan every year. But
We don't have it.
Okay. It was in the.
You guys ought to be looking.
In the packet,
Is it the last page?
It was in the packet.
Okay. It was in the packet, but we didn't.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I didn't bring that.
Oh, okay. So, but that is something that, what was I gonna say? Gary, while they're gonna get a copy of the exact description, you wanna talk about your process in this, and David?
Yeah, so Mayor and Council, when Paul started having conversations with Neil and I was brought into the conversation, I asked that Deputy Chief Bayer-Ron be brought into that as part of the conversation, kind of spearhead that a little bit, because, he does have a lot of knowledge and access to a lot of additional knowledge through family the practice of medicine, and I think that was beneficial in working through and determining what exactly needed to be looked at as part of the tests that were being performed. The tests that are,
Okay, don't talk about it. Okay.
the tests that are looking on there, again, a lot of those tests look specifically at cardiac related function for both the heart as well. When we look at, for example, your the CT angiography is what's commonly referred to as a calcium score, where they're looking, specifically around the heart for plaque that's hardened. So it's specific to that. Whereas with the ultrasound, it's looking more specifically for blood flow restriction, not only around the heart, but also along with the carotids, and to make sure that blood is flowing adequately as it should. The other one in there is the HSCRP, C-reactive proteins, look for inflammation. The high sensitivity one specifically looks for inflammation associated with cardiac muscle, cardiac blood flow. Those, like Paul mentioned, not everybody needs a CT all the time. Not everybody necessarily, based on age qualification, will need a CT, but they may need some of those. The ultrasound may be a good option for them to go in and continue to have that if they're a younger individual that still want to be screened for dental issues.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, the Cobra Valley is looking, the prices on this are very reasonable, considering the cost of the machines that will be doing the work. This is something that he is looking to put together as for other employers in the area. This is a way that Cobra Valley can give back, and also in my communication with other cities, having these preventative screening processes available are just really an investment, because if just one person we find, they can find out earlier than they would have before symptoms have come up. The impact of that to them personally, to their family, and to the city as their employer is so greatly enhanced instead of letting something go. So it's quite the investment, and we hope that, the other thing, there will be a portal that Neil is putting together. We'll plan to be dedicated to that, so people can track their information. Everything's available online, and you can see what's going on. And then we're also looking to put together what does year 2 and year 3 look like, and maybe a 4-year. I think we're looking at maybe every 4 years you repeat that. And employees can come and go. They'll get a hold of this. Will be run through Pam with the scheduling and making sure that this is a benefit and Pam is benefits, and so she'll make sure that this is managed and help people. So Pam already has a list of people who are interested, curious about this, and help navigate that. We're contemplating about 50 people for each, and they can do both, but it's a little bit different. And if we need to put more money in there, we can.
What is the cost, do you know?
On this one, as I recall, $800. I'm going from my memory here. So 600 for the full and 300 for the young, without the CT scan. So 600 for the imaging and the CT scan, and 300, and that will be paid. It's not a reimbursement. They go make an appointment, and then Pam's invoice to the city, and then we will pay on a monthly basis. And then for the Simon Medical, we'll do individual, and we'll pay those individually. And those we're not sure, the price may have changed on that one, but we're thinking probably about in the 800 to 1,000 range on that one. But we still think there's value in that, in offering that.
Chief, so they concentrate on cardiac on this testing, but they have the PSAs and the A1Cs, and they're looking at other things also.
They are looking at other things. Your basic blood panel is a blood panel that you would it's looking at, in conjunction with cardiac markers and stuff, it's looking also at PSA scores, prostate specific for also diabetes marker with A1C is a diabetes marker. And there, testosterone for males. So there are some other components that it also looks at outside of the.
And Mr. Mayor, members of council, we gave Poker Valley and Neil Jensen the one that we were looking at. He came back with that. And he came back with the suggestion that in the next round, that we look at some, more the female health issues, that there are processes and things that they can include on that. So, that's something that we're gonna look at, is if there's anything else that we had not thought about, of the narrowness of what we put together. But that man that would come up and be screening a lot of blood tests and, cholesterol and everything, those are kind of like as many of the things you cover in healthcare. But, they put together like the most impactful testing, and that's what they focus on.
And this is for their families also,
Anybody or families also. Okay, this is for anybody who is eligible for benefits in a position working for the city. So, contractors, it would not be, they're not benefit eligible, but employees would be.
We need a motion?
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve item D as read.
Second.
Motion is second for approval, item 5E is presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any late agenda items? Second call to the public, do we have anybody?
Nothing on the internet. I'm sorry, nothing in the email.
Scheduling meetings?
Nothing. We do not have a second, this is our second meeting, so it's not on the normal schedule, but, and Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for making yourself available. I know we're getting very close to the holidays here, but it was important that we get some of this stuff put in place before that January one, because of these deadlines that have been, we operating under, so it's very helpful.
Do we bring up the next meeting on this one, or we get those scheduled out for the first of January?
They're non-council.
And some work groups, yeah. Future agenda items, anybody have any? Motion to adjourn?
Who's made?
Second.
Motion second to adjourn, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.